How hybrid work has changed meetings, the rise of virtual collaboration abstract. The COVID-19 pandemic catalyzed an unprecedented shift to remote work in March 2020, fundamentally transforming workplace collaboration and meeting practices. Where in-person gatherings once dominated, videoconferencing platforms like Zoom and Microsoft Teams quickly became essential tools for connecting distributed teams. Nearly 2 years later, research indicates a lasting transition to hybrid work models, with studies showing 67% of knowledge workers prefer flexible arrangements and 75% reporting increased virtual meeting attendance. This evolution has prompted the development of evidence-based best practices for effective virtual collaboration, including strategic use of video, intentional body language, structured participation protocols, visual context sharing, and asynchronous recording options. As organizations permanently incorporate remote and hybrid arrangements, leaders who establish clear communication norms, provide facilitation training, and continuously optimize virtual meeting practices based on employee feedback will create collaborative environments that maintain productivity and connection regardless of physical proximity. The COVID-19 pandemic ushered in widespread adoption of remote work nearly overnight, as organizations scrambled to transition their workforces online in mid-March 2020. While this shift allowed businesses to continue operations during lockdowns, it also necessitated major changes to long-standing in-person work routines and practices. One area that saw dramatic transformation was meetings and collaboration. Where in-person gatherings were once the norm, videoconferencing platforms like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and WebEx became the primary means of connecting distributed teams. Nearly 2 years since widespread lockdowns began, many predict a long-term shift to hybrid work models, with some employees working remotely some or all of the time on an ongoing basis. As the future of work becomes increasingly remote-friendly, virtual meetings look poised to remain a staple for collaborating across distances. This marks a profound and permanent change from pre-pandemic norms. Today we will explore how the rise of hybrid work has fundamentally changed meetings by examining relevant research, outlining best practices for virtual gatherings, and providing industry examples. Research on virtual meetings. Researchers have studied the impacts of widespread virtual collaboration since the pandemic began. Their findings provide insight into meeting norms and best practices that have emerged alongside hybrid work models. A 2021 report by Anthropic surveyed over 5,000 knowledge workers and found that 67% preferred some form of hybrid work going forward, with in-person and remote options. Flexibility. Additionally, 75% reported attending more virtual meetings compared to before the pandemic. Anthropic. This indicates a structural shift toward blended work schedules necessitating virtual collaboration. Studies have also assessed how meeting behaviors and norms have changed with this shift. For example, research published in Harvard Business Review examined common meeting challenges pre-COVID like multitasking or late arrivals, then surveyed how these changed with remote attendance. They found distraction dropped significantly when participants were remote, as social norms adjusted to focus more on engagement than in-person presence. Schauble. Additionally, virtual communication research by Anthropic highlighted the importance of visual and verbal engagement for remote participants. Features like video, screen sharing, and participatory agendas kept distributed attendees more focused than audio-only calls. These empirically validated insights can guide planning more effective blended meetings. Best practices for virtual meetings. Drawing from this research, several best practices have emerged for facilitating productive virtual gatherings in hybrid work environments. Use video to foster connection. Turning on cameras creates a sense of presence that keeps remote participants engaged. While not always possible, video should be the default where resources allow. Be mindful of body language. Speakers should exaggerate gestures and expressions since these cues are lost without in-person context. Maintaining eye contact with the camera also fosters connection. Encourage participation. Go around asking each person for input in turn rather than hoping for volunteers. Virtual raising hands or chat reactions can signal desire to contribute. Share context visually, screen sharing agendas, notes, or presentations relevant to the discussion keeps everyone on the same page. Consider sharing pre-reads as well. Limit distractions and backgrounds, close unnecessary applications and choose a quiet, professional background to focus on the meeting. Consider virtual backgrounds, if needed. Take standing breaks. Periodic standing breaks combat fatigue from prolonged sitting. Even just standing during portions of the meeting aids focus. Record for asynchronous viewing. Recordings allow those unable to attend or needing to review to stay in the loop. Announcing recordings can shift social norms toward focus. Implementing these practices purposefully in virtual meetings, particularly for distributed or hybrid teams, can help replicate the impact of in-person collaboration remotely. The next section applies these principles through industry examples. Hybrid meeting best practices in practice to demonstrate effective implementation of virtual meeting best practices. Two examples are discussed from different industries that have embraced hybrid models. Education, at the University of Washington. Instructional designers implemented guidelines across remote course meetings centered around video engagement, screen sharing, and participation tracking. Lecturers were trained to acknowledge video participants by name, pose direct questions, and use polls or chat throughout. Student feedback found these interactive elements greatly increased focus and comprehension compared to passive online lectures. Technology. At Anthropic, an AI safety startup working fully remotely. Every weekly all-hands meeting follows a consistent agenda structure shared ahead of time in a company document. Designated presenters screen share slides while speaking to camera with emphasis on gestures. A chat channel runs simultaneously to capture questions. And time is allotted at the end for any topic. Employees report feeling highly informed and connected despite the company being fully distributed. These real-world cases illustrate how purposefully applying research-backed best practices, from video engagement to visual agendas to interactive elements, transforms remote meetings into truly collaborative experiences on par with in-person. With ongoing hybridization, these examples provide a model for other industries navigating permanent virtual collaboration. Key considerations for leaders as the future of work evolves. Organizational leaders play a pivotal role in setting teams up for success. Intentional planning and communication are key to facilitating productive virtual collaboration over the long run. Establish clear communication norms. Discuss expectations up front for things like camera use, participation, technology troubleshooting, and etiquette. Consistency builds engagement. Provide facilitation training. Ensure meeting organizers understand best practices for remote leadership and how to structure agendas. Encourage interaction and engage remote participants. Establish meeting standards. Create guidelines or templates outlining tools, agenda formats, and practices to be used for all virtual gatherings. Lead by example in adhering to standards yourself. Empower distributed participation. Equip remote employees with the same technologies and permissions within platforms as in-office colleagues. Avoid two-tier systems. Gauge sentiment regularly. Conduct periodic surveys and focus groups to understand how meeting effectiveness and satisfaction evolves over time. Adjust approaches accordingly. Leaders who establish strong foundations set clear norms and continuously optimize based on feedback will see the most impactful transition to sustainable virtual collaboration supporting hybrid teams. Proactive guidance is key to long-term success. Conclusion. While the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted in-person work dramatically, it also accelerated permanent changes like distributed hybrid teams that were likely inevitable. As remote and blended schedules become entrenched, so too will virtual meetings and collaboration. With intentional planning and application of research-backed best practices, leaders can implement virtual gatherings that are every bit as engaging, inclusive and productive as face-to-face interactions. By fostering interactive facilitation techniques, establishing clear standards, and continuously optimizing approaches, companies embracing hybrid models will empower teams to thrive regardless of physical proximity. Meetings may look different moving forward, but well-designed virtual collaboration can keep geographically dispersed organizations equally connected through any changes to come.